Hello, Tomies, and welcome to another Saulum's Column. This one specifically is Saulum's Column 10, and I am your host, Dave, for this Saulum's Column. Let's see how many times I can say Saulum's Column in a breath, shall we? Saulum's Column, Saulum's... Just kidding, guys. Well, welcome back to another one. It's been a while since we've done a Saulum's Column because I felt like we were kind of overdoing it with a lot of news and stuff, a lot of repeating. So I'm going to have these Saulum's columns a little less frequent, and that way we can get more information out for you guys when it's relevant. So with this one, going to kind of hit, I was thinking about what I was going to say for the Saulum's column, and I decided that I was going to do more of a promotion or a kind of like a thank you to everybody that's helped us throughout our journey. And so I decided to go through all the episodes of other podcasts that we were able to be on, that they invited us on and that we were able to be a part of. Because in this podcasting realm, it is so important for, networking, cross-promoting, going on other people's shows, because it helps everybody that's involved, right? We've done a lot of cross promotions with other podcasts, as you've heard throughout in the beginning of our episodes, and it's been so much fun to work with them. But I specifically wanted to focus on the ones that me and Abby were able to be a part of. And the first one I wanted to hit was these two guys, Jason and Trey, from Flows for You. I'd give you a little bit of information about Flows for You. Flows for You is such a unique podcast, I think, in the way that it's family friendly, for one. That was a big thing, big reason why we wanted to be on that show, and we were able to get on there. And they're just two guys that interview interesting people. What interesting people? People like you. Because they talk, I've listened to several of their episodes, and they've talked to, people who own stores, people who are musicians. I'm sure they've talked to some musicians too. Magicians, I guess, would be the proper way to say that. They've talked to role players. They've talked to other podcasters. They've talked to, you name a person, they've probably talked to somebody like that. And they've just talked about what's inspired them. They're very focused on inspiring and finding joy in life. And that's one thing that I really loved about it. And I even catch some of their episodes live on their stream every Monday just to get motivated a little bit. So, and we were on their show. If you want to go look at their podcast feed, that's Flows for You, FLOW, the number 4 and the letter U, and you'll be able to find them. Jay and Trey, they're great hosts, and what's unique about the hosts themselves, one is a rapper and the other one is a beatboxer, and they have a rap at the end of their shows talking about what they just talked about. Jason raps and Trey beatboxes the rap for him, so it's really unique, really down to earth. You don't have to worry about any kind of language with them or anything. They're just fun-loving guys, and they're great. But if you wanted to check out the episode that Abby and I were on, it is episode 325. They've been around a long time, so it's episode 325. And the title of the episode is Share What You Love and Love What You Share. Again, go check them out. Go check out that episode if you wanted to hear us. It's our very first ever interview, me and Abby, and so you could tell we're nervous, and I think we were only out for about 6 months at the time, so that was really fun. And Flows for You also has a YouTube channel, so go check that out. Again, it's Flows for You with the number 4 and the letter U. Another one I wanted to give a shout out is to Rhett, the DM that's on the show, Stacko Dice. You may remember some cross promotion there, hearing a little promo from them earlier on in the podcast. But they're another family friendly podcast that we have become very good friends with. Their show is a homebrew world, just like ours, but they deal with magic a little differently, which I've really enjoyed their way of doing it. I'm not going to spoil anything if you want to go hear that kind of mechanic. or that kind of gameplay, go check it out. That podcast has been around since 2018, and so you got a huge backlog you can listen to. So go check them out again. But he also does little special creation corners that he does that help DMs get a idea on how to create worlds and how he specifically created his world. I've really enjoyed listening to those. He has another little section called, it's still a creation corner one, and it is the creation corner world builders. And I was fortunately able to be on that show, and that one is episode 240. So like I said, they have a huge backlog on their episodes, but I specifically was on the episode 240 on the Stacko Dice podcast. Again, go check them out. They are family friendly. They have a wonderful story going on. And another thing that's unique about them, it's only like 3 players. So it's kind of fun to see a different dynamic on just a smaller player size than me that has like about 5, or other podcasts that kind of have 4 to 5. So they only have 3, which has been an interesting dynamic as well. Another one that I was fortunately able to be a part of is the podcast How Not to DM or How Not to Dungeon Master by Derek. And we've been friends with him for a while now, since we kind of both started around the same time. And so we were able to connect with each other. And I was finally able to be on a part of his show. I was honored to be a part of his show, just like we've all been honored to be on different podcasts or streams. But with this one, it was especially nice because I've been a fan of his for a long time, listening to his stuff, and then I got invited to be on his show, and I was ecstatic. I really love what he does. Again, he's another family-friendly person, and he's actually from Utah as well, just like us. And for that specific interview, we were able to meet up in person. All his other interviews have been over the internet, and ours was able to be in face, real time, I guess you could say. So that was really fun to do. I'm on episode 75 of his How Not to Dungeon Master podcast. And with his podcast, he's an interview podcast, but he interviews a variety of people as well that deal with the TTRPG community. He's interviewed people from Wizards of the Coast. He's interviewed people from Cobalt Press. He's interviewed people that have just created masterminds of creation in the TTRPG community. He's talked to tons of people that's created their own systems. So if you're looking for a new system, go check out his podcast because they get into depth about it. But one unique thing I like about this podcast is it talks about the mistakes that DMs have made. And it's been really fun to listen to him because as you're listening to him, you find out, a little bit of, hey, I'm not the only one that's made that mistake. Or, hey, I had the same idea. Or, ooh, yeah, I remember making that mistake as well, or seeing their perspective on how they dealt with those mistakes, right? Because as DMs, we always worry about making those mistakes or making our players frustrated with our antics, right? Or how to deal with the antics of the players. This is a good place to go learn on how to deal with that and how to enjoy your game better. Mistakes are a part of the game, and with this podcast, I've learned that to embrace them. And so go check it out. If you want to check out the episode that I was specifically in, that is episode 75. And you can find any of these podcasts that I've talked about on any podcast platform. This next one I want to talk about is it used to be a stream. They have been put on a hiatus right now, but they are Party of Two with Weston and Haley. They are another friends of ours that we've gained through networking and talking to other content creators such as ourselves. And they used to have a stream, Party of Two, and they played Pathfinder 2. So a little different system, but we were invited, me and Abby were invited to actually be players on their show as Haley was the DM at the time. What's unique about Party of Two is it's a one-on-one DM versus is the wrong word, but DM player ratio there. So one of them plays the DM for like a little story arc, and then they switch. So the DM becomes the player becomes the DM, and they continue on in that route. And the player that the DM would be playing kind of gets put in that back role while the player becomes the star of the show. The DM PC is still there, but they just don't associate as much or make the decisions. It's left to the player that's playing. So I really liked and enjoyed that story, seeing how a one-on-one could work, and they pull it off very well. The thing with this stream, it's more, I would say it's like PG-13 plus. There's the language, there's some heavier themes in it, but overall it's pretty safe. I really enjoyed their story arc, and like I said, me and Abby were able to be a part of that story. So if you're interested on how I play, you can go to their stream, and there you can find them on YouTube mainly if you wanted to watch, because Abby says I make some really funny facial expressions as we go along. But you can enjoy our antics with that. On the Party of Two, it's their, oh boy, I'm going to butcher this. There's Scions chapter. It's the only they have several different other news things as well, but their story arc, their actual play, is called the Scions, and we were able to be on their show on season 4, episodes 2 through 7. Like I said, if you're looking into, you don't have a lot of people to play with, go check them out to see how they played with a very small group, just a one-player group, and go check that out. And then see how they bounce back and forth from being a GM to player as well. It may give you ideas on how to do that in your own games, having a player take the DM seat for a while you play, while still playing in the same world. It was really unique and interesting, so if you're interested on learning how to do that, check them out. Oh, I almost forgot. Abby was actually back on that show, Party of Two, and she came back as a different character. She came back as Haley's sister in that campaign. And those episodes can be found on season 5, episode 9, all the way through episode 13 of season 5 as well. So Party of Two also had a little separate thing called Family Gaming Experience with Party of Two and Lost Tribe Gaming. They were going around and trying to promote like family-friendly gaming and how to play with your family, and had different guests on the show. And Abby was on one of those shows. And she was a guest on that show, and so was Thomas from I Cast Fireball. That was the first time that Abby met him, is during this little thing. Again, it's called Family Gaming Experience with Party of Two and Lost Tribe Gaming, with the guests of Abby and Thomas from I Cast Fireball. Go check it out. It's really fun to talk about. They're talking about actual play content out there, because both of us are family-friendly content. So you can go check that episode out as well. And speaking of Lost Tribe Gaming, another one we'd like to bring up is one that Abby has been specifically participating in since October 2022. So she's been a part of this stream for quite a while. It's a Vampires of Masquerade Twitch stream by Lost Tribes Gaming. And this one's for mature audience for sure. There's a lot of swearing and getting into some topics that may not be suitable for children. But you can go check out their stuff. They're on Twitch. They're on YouTube. Lost Tribes Gaming. They have several different channels. They do a superhero one, which Abby has played a little bit in that one as well. They're the Vampires of Masquerade. They're really good friends of the show. But like I said, they are mature audience for that. So viewer discretion advised on going and watching those streams or watching any of their videos. So yeah, that's all the people that we've been on their shows and been enjoying networking with them and growing with them. I just thought it was very important to do this one for this Saulum's column, because it's been on my mind a lot of like how important it is to get out there, get to know people, I don't necessarily like the word networking because it sounds like, oh, it's all business, but we've become really good friends with a lot of these people that we've worked with, getting advice from them, working with each other. Because I think a lot of times in this world, especially here in the US, at least in the mind frame that I have being a US citizen, is that everything's a competition. You have to do better than your competitor. But I feel like in our unique position as a podcast, and there's so many other podcasts like us, that I don't feel like I'm a competitor with any of these podcasts, you know? Yes, there's a lot of family friendly podcasts out there that do pretty much the same thing we're doing: actual play, TTRPG, D&D, Pathfinder, whatever system you talk about, that's family friendly. And they just sit down and play and people get to listen to them. I don't feel like they're a competitor. I feel like we're friends that people who like our content could love their content. And so it's been really fun to work with these people. As I mentioned before, we have worked with iCast Fireball, Thomas, during SaltCon, as we mentioned a few Saulum's columns ago. But getting to know these people, and Knocked Prone as well, getting to know these people has really enriched our lives and made us better podcasters. Getting some of their information, that it's like, how did you deal with this kind of situation? Oh, we've dealt it this way, and being able to share that information back and forth. And a little spoiler here, I'm not going to give too much information about this, but Zeb, Evan, and I are going to be on another podcast here soon in the future. Details are still being hammered out, but just you wait. You'll get to see the three boys get together and play. So we're excited about that, and we're going to be playing in a whole new system. We'll get more information to you as we get there, but stay tuned for that. But again, like I was saying, little things like this is what makes everybody grow, right? I don't consider us a really big podcast, so sometimes I feel like they're doing us more of a favor than we are them, being on shows and helping them out. But really, it's a group effort. I'm a big component of, like, you lift where you stand, you do your best with what you have, and you go forward with that. And there's tons of people out there to help, and there's tons of people who, that's one thing I really enjoyed about this TTRPG community that we've been involved in, is that everybody's so friendly. Yeah, you get a few bad eggs, but what crowd doesn't have bad eggs? I mean, let's just look at the Star Wars fandom. I won't get into that, but everybody's just been so open, so friendly. If we had questions, they've been able to answer them, or at least point us in the same direction, and I've really appreciated that. So thank you, everyone, for that. Go support these people that I've mentioned here, and all our promos that we've swapped. Like, it's been fun to work with them and just grow each other's audiences. We are all in here to bring entertainment to everybody. Some people may like the podcast we promote, some people may not, and that's perfectly fine with me. We're just trying to find everybody to bring everybody something, right? Everybody has a niche. Everybody has certain tastes and likes. And I'm sure that we've introduced you to a different podcast and you like them better than us. Guess what? That's okay. That is perfectly fine. As long as we're helping you find joy and happiness in this life, hey, we were just that stepping stone to get you farther ahead. And I'm fine with that. Yeah, I guess that's it. Before I close out, though, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of one of my deep dives. This deep dive particular is on chapters 12 and 13. For those who aren't familiar with or don't remember 12 and 13, that is when the group goes down to save Henley, and then they get out of underneath there and start heading to Glendale. This snippet is kind of in the middle of the deep dive, but I just wanted to give you little insights on what you're kind of missing out on these deep dives. I've really enjoyed doing these deep dives. Man, it makes me think about all the how I prepared for different things, reading back on those notes and be like, wow, how much these notes have changed. of like where I was going with the story at this particular time to now. Now that we're like 50 episodes ahead of these almost. So if you've been enjoying the deep dives or enjoyed this next deep dive, go support us on Ko-Fi. On tier 2, $6 a month, you can get the post show, you can get our deep dives, and you can get some other special unique things that are available to you on those tier lists at ko-fi.com/Tomes of the Chaos Bard. Find us there. So enjoy this one. This is DM Dave's deep dives for episodes, or chapters I should say, 12 and 13. Enjoy them, and we'll see you next time on Saulum's Column. So enjoy. Well, the big monster comes back, not happy, and this is where I kind of stopped my players for a minute. I was like, okay, just go with me for a second. I'm going to have the bug do something. That's why you don't hear any rolls or anything for this next part, where the bug knocks Roscoe against the wall and tramples on Lila. Because this was the part I was going to introduce Fenrir, kind of give him a chance to distract or, have his moment of like, ta-da, I am here. So then I turned to Fenrir and I said, what do you do? And everybody was so happy that he came back because they didn't know. They didn't know if he was actually going to come down. And I really, at first, and this is the player in me, because I figured Fenrir was going to come down and just be like, I'm going to take over and I'm going to do some damage to the thing to distract it. But instead he came down, was able to dodge through the creatures, and he just did mirror image. Which I remember thinking to myself is like, oh, that's a little anticlimactic. You just do that. Okay, whatever. Missed opportunity, move on. But listening back to it now, I was like, no, what a great idea. Because now you're saying, hey, now there's 4 of us. You've already knocked down 2 of them. Come after us. Giving that distraction to the bug. And I did play it like that initially because I wanted that opportunity for Fenrir to distract him. So I used that as a excuse. Oh, there's 4 people over there. Go. But listening back to it now, I was like, good idea, Dave. Good job. And good job, Fenrir, for using that spell, mirror image. I think that's one unutilized spell a lot of times because it can be very distracting to the enemies. And then here comes the final moment, like the final blow that Lila does. And I do have to admit, when I initially asked Becky, how do you finish this creature? She had this really cool theatric way of killing the beast, of like cutting it in half and taking it out that way. But shame on me, I said, no, that creature's too big. You can't do that. But you can go underneath it, gut it, and have it fall over that way. And that's what we ended up doing. But thinking back on it, and even after the episode recorded and that night, I was thinking, like, why? Why did I do that? There was nothing. What she wanted to do to cut that creature clear in half, I had told her, how do you want to kill it? And she used her creativity to be like, oh, I want to be like very anime is what I thought about it. Just slice through the whole thing and have it split in 2. What damage would that have done to my story? Nothing. That would have done nothing damaging to my story. And it would have been such a cool moment for her, and I denied her that cool moment. So it's been a reminder to me that it's like, okay, if my players want to do something cool and it enhances the atmosphere, let them do it. Sometimes I find it hard because I get so logical. It's like, well, technically you would be able to do that because this creature's 10 feet tall and you're only 4 feet tall. What does it matter? The creature was dead. There's a difference between if she wanted to do that and the creature still had full health or half health, still had some health and trying to cut it in half. Not going to do that, but the creature was dead. Why not let her have some fun? So that's something I learned that I need to do more often, is let my players have those fun moments. Does it matter? Is it going to hurt anything? No. Let him do it. So that happened. Lila harasses Fenrir for not being there. So now we go back to Boudreaux, focusing on Henley. And I really like how I ended chapter 12. I'd be like, and we're done here. That was, I actually had it planned to end it there, which time wise, it ended up perfect. So now we're getting into chapter 13. And the first half of it went all right. Listening to chapter 13, I'll admit it was kind of boring. There was a lot of in um, background stuff, not background stuff, just a lot of filler in this one, which sometimes it's okay. You'll always have those episodes of just filler, and this is one of those filler episodes. I feel because a lot of that is my fault because I spent so much time planning for 12. That theatrical moments, the focus on their moments, making sure everything fits into place, building that map, that I focused a lot of my time and details on that when 13 came, I pretty much had planned, okay, they're going to, Henley's going to awake and they're going to continue on to Avalon. And that's all I planned. It's like, yeah, they're just going to continue on to Avalon. So I didn't worry about anything else. Well, was I wrong? But we'll get into that here. So they save Henley, and Henley has her little vision. Now, about this little vision that she had, I wanted to give Abby a little chance since she wasn't in episode 12. Henley technically wasn't in episode 12. Give her a little moment to shine. And this was a moment that none of my players had heard. They didn't hear this part of Henley's thing until the release of it. So that was kind of fun to surprise them with that when they listened to it. But giving Abby an opportunity to do that. And it was nice to have my father-in-law, Abby's dad, to actually play Henley's dad. We convinced him to do that, which it wasn't hard to convince him. It's like, hey, can you play your daughter's character's dad? He's like, oh, sure, I could do that. And he threw in the accent just because, which is like, you have fun with it. But with that, we actually had some friends, and we give some nods to that at the end of the episode of 13 of thank yous to some friends of ours has lost a parent or dads in this case at that time. And so Abby did go talk to them and be like, hey, if you had an opportunity to say a few things to your dad, what would it be? So a lot of the things that Henley says to her dad are things that her friends wish they could say to their parents, especially the one that's like, for your anniversary, I have to give mom flowers. That was one of Abby's friends said that. She's like, now when it's anniversary time for my mom, like who gives her flowers now? I guess it's up to me to do that, to take care of mom now, to do things with mom. But I also enjoyed the background of just the compassion that Henley's dad had and the understanding of like, I know you couldn't stay there for mom. I know you couldn't stay there for mom. You have to deal with things your own way. But I love you and I support you in that. But you have to choose. Do you come with me or do you stay and fight? How often would we make that choice? If we were presented in a moment of meeting somebody, our hero, somebody who trained us to be who we are, that taught us to be who we are, how hard would that decision be to stay and let them go? I feel a lot of us have those opportunities and those times in our lives that we wish that we could go or talk to people that have passed on. And this is one of those moments of Henley's that she had to choose.